previous one, and I did not upload it to, you know what, actually that prior one might be a better one to give you the recording of, well, except this one also goes into the user setup. So
go ahead
yeah.
and record this one and make it so I can see this one.
Okay,
If I want to show it to somebody that I've created an account for.
Oh, yeah, okay. And actually, I've got probably some better materials for those that you're creating accounts for. This would just be if you wanted to go back in and review any of this yourself. So what I can do is I can upload it to YouTube and send you a link for it, because otherwise it'd just be a huge file.
That's fine.
Okay, so we are actually being recorded. So I think legally I have an obligation to tell you that. Unless, of course, I'm on the call myself.
My name is not Hillary Clinton.
Yeah. Well, I won't be sending you any emails from any kind of account this morning, hopefully.
Right.
All right. So I'll note some of the big differences then for you, Regina, in some of the notable features of this system. That is, or one big one is that this system is actually mobile optimized. So for your applicants, when they come in, if they go to Tanknology.applicantpool.com, they're not going to see the full view like this if they're on a cell phone. Instead, the system will recognize they're on a mobile device, and so they'll see the left-hand side information, and then below that, excuse me, allergies or something going on here. You know how it is, Regina, here in Austin. So one of the allergy capitals of the world, I guess. So they'd see the right-hand information below all of the job listings if they were on a cell phone. So contrasting that to iApplicants, you can use this on a cell phone, but it doesn't reformulate for a smaller device. So someone would have to swipe over to the right-hand side to see actually where these job listings are located.
I just will comment to you, Regina, something that I did not know, and in fact is the case. A good majority of our applicants are applying off smartphones. They're not even using computers.
I believe that, because I know people won't have a computer, but they'll tell me that they're going to text me from their phone. So, yeah, I think this is great.
Yeah. So it's probably, what, 10 or 20%? Did you look at the, I sent you the analytics report, right, Joe?
We did. I got it.
Yeah, so in the bottom left of that, it shows you what percentage are on mobile devices, and I think it's probably around 10 or 20%.
Okay.
Okay, so a similar dynamic on this page. When they're viewing your job listing, they'll see that on their cell phone, and then down below is where they can start filling in what is on the right-hand side of our screen, which is the information to start the application process. We're not telling them that they're creating a profile or creating a login, but that's actually what they're doing. And as a short, I guess, convenience, they can click on a link if they've got a LinkedIn profile, and it'll fill in their name and email address.
I see.
Because of having created a login, then they can actually go and log in as, or using that information to revisit the application. So if they get distracted or need to come back for some reason, or they want to apply for a second job, then they can do so, and they won't have to fill in all of the information. They can, but they don't have to fill in all the information the second time, because any information already uploaded, such as the education, employment, etc., on a prior application, will carry over to a new application if they wish, or they can edit that. All right, so we're going to walk through all of this, and let me know then as we go if you see anything that you want to make edits. So most of this should be just pretty much straight copy and paste from your current application.
Okay.
Just look okay then?
Yeah.
All right. So we actually have the job questions at the top of, or right below the instructions anyway, in this system, which serves a couple of benefits. It actually saves applicants and you if they go in here and they realize that, oh, I actually do, maybe they didn't pay too close of attention, as often happens, to the requirements for the job, and if they don't have some of these qualifications, then they may bolt early in the process, versus at the end of the having completed all the rest of this information, if they see these questions, they may say, well, heck, if I've already done all this work, I'm going to go ahead and finish.
I understand.
So these are actually, you don't have to require all your questions. All of these are required. So,
Right.
all yes, no, I think. Oh, maybe not this one, though.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
All right. So a significant benefit, yikes, let me get a sip here to see if I can quell that cough a little bit.
Okay. Where it says technical difficulties, get help now, is that from you guys?
That will be yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't run across need for that too often, but it's good to have it. So I think that's online chats, what that's going to be.
Okay.
Let me just, or actually it may be email. Let's take a look. Oh, FAQs,
okay.
and I think, let me see here. Oh, FAQs, but not there. I guess that's it. Okay. Oh, what I was going to say is that any of these responses, so these are yes-no questions for the most part, other than a couple of them, you can mark any response as a disqualifying response. So when you're setting up your screening questions, if they don't have a high school diploma and that's a non-starter for you, you can set a no response as a disqualifier so that not only when you get over to look at your applications will you not see that application by default. You can if you want. You can take a look at the disqualified applicants. But you can also have the system automatically disposition them for you. So it can automatically put it in the status of not qualified or does not meet minimum qualifications, something along that line. So that can be a big time saver for you, having the system take care of your non-qualified applicants. You just need to be, diligent about how you choose, or disciplined, I guess, about how you choose which ones are disqualifiers. But once you've done that, then that's a great benefit of this system. All right, so we've got the instructions. I'm going to help make that a little larger maybe. And I don't believe that you're requiring prior employers or education or references for that matter. But if they do put in information for a prior employer, then they need to fill in all of these fields. So you might let me know if these look okay. Is all that okay, Joe? Or Regina?
I'm just wondering what happens if they don't remember supervisor info or they don't put it down because that person's no longer there, or they can skip fields. You said all of these are required?
These are required, but that's why I put the text up here explaining that if they need to, they can put NA, or if it's a number field, like a phone number, they can put in 111.
Okay.
Or really just any numbers.
Gotcha.
Look okay then?
Yes.
Okay. No, let me tell you what, how does add a new one? There we go. So they can add as many prior employers as they want. They can add as many schools as they want. These are the fields that you ask for here. Okay. Does that look all right, Regina? Or Joe?
It looks all right.
No. Okay. All right. For a resume, you're not requiring an upload of a resume. If they choose to, they can actually upload more than one document. But even from a cell phone, they can access Dropbox or Google Drive or put in a text resume. And if they wanted, they could turn that into a text file.
I'm back.
Oh, that explains why you weren't contributing too much.
I was gone.
Welcome back.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So, and you've heard most of this before, or probably all of this, Joe. But anyway, they can also put in just text. It can actually be a cover letter or a text resume if they want. So it makes it easier for applicants to include a resume if they wish.
Okay. I just want to back up one step. In the job question, is that where I can put an examination or a mechanical skills test, or does it come later?
You could, yeah.
Is that the place that typically fits? So I mean, that's where I do questions.
Yes. Yeah. So,
Okay.
so I've actually got a few clients who are doing something like that, and so let's say they've got a 10-question test, but they also want to ask these other screening questions.
Yes.
So they would. Doesn't really matter if you put it at the beginning or the end, but they do scoring on it, and I'll show you when we get over and log in. So they would. So let's say that your other questions, maybe they're not using the scoring at all, or if they are, they give a point for a good answer, no points for poor answers. And then they've got a test that's 10 questions. So they score that test at 10 points for each question. So if a person answered all the mechanical questions correctly, and they also had, let's say, 5 other screening questions, and 3 of them you gave points, 2 of them were just nice to have. So a top score would actually be 103. And you're going to know what their, regardless of what the digits place is, you're going to know how they scored on the other based upon the multiples of 10 you've got.
I see. Okay.
All right, so I'll show you that when we get there in just a little bit.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so you've got all these fields, but they're not required for references. And this might be a good time to throw out a couple of options for you. So one is that if you really want reference information, but you don't really need it for all of your applicants, and I don't know what your ratio of applicants is to hires, but it's probably relatively high. Did we lose Joe again?
No, you know what it is? You're not, maybe I'm having an internet problem here.
Oh, maybe. Oh, all right. So the system thinks that you're not logged in anymore, but I guess you'll be back in a little while.
Yeah, go ahead. Just keep going.
No,
my internet connection is gone.
Oh, all right.
Let me switch my wireless on my phone.
Okay.
You can proceed.
Okay. So I've got a couple of options that I can toss out for you. One is that if you, well, actually, let me ask a question first. Do you, for the most part, or pretty much universally, get sufficient applications for your jobs? Or, and did we talk about this before, Joe, the option for the Indeed Click to Apply?
We get applications, mostly applications with some attached resumes.
But I mean, are you getting enough applications, or would you like to have twice as many applications as you currently get for no additional cost?
I think more would be better. The pattern is we get a lot initially, 2-3 days, and then it just stops.
Well, and that's because you've been getting a lot from Craigslist, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So Craigslist, if you don't go in and refresh it, every week or so, or even every few days, yeah, it does drop off dramatically after the first few days. You are likely to be getting a lot from Indeed, but if you wanted to double probably the number of applications that you're getting, then we can turn on, let me just show you real fast.
Yeah, I'm back on now.
Okay, good, perfect timing. So if I just do a search on jobs, and if I was an applicant, and let's say I searched, and this is the set of listings that come up based upon my keywords that I put in, which is a reminder that you do need keywords so that they can find your listings. So if these were the jobs that I brought up, then they're going to see some jobs where it appears, and account temps, you can be pretty sure that if they go in here and click on this, that they're going to be filling out a full application. But then they come down and they see your job listing, and if we've turned on the click to apply, or easy apply if you will, then they know that for this job listing, all they're going to need is a minimum of information so they can apply quickly for this one. So people who might be dissuaded by a full application, even if you don't require those fields, just seeing that you've got that many sections and thinking, oh man, they may have a bunch of required fields, they may require my references or whatever, just seeing the fact that you've got references on there can turn away some people. But with this, you've got more people who are going to say, well, I could apply there, but here it's going to be fast because all I have to do is click on this, I see the full job description, and then if I click on apply, then if I'm already logged in, it's actually going to say apply with your resume now. Is what it's going to say, because all it's really requiring is name, email address, and resume. Most of them will have city and state. They will also be asked race and gender. They'll be presented with those forms, and they'll be asked your screening questions. So that's the good news here, is that they actually do answer your screening questions, so you can still have applicants who aren't qualified disqualified. Okay, so if that's of interest to you, I can turn that on, and you'll get a lot more applications. However, they're not going to be complete applications, right? So at least up front, they're not going to be complete. But here's the rest of the good news, and that is that that once you, and you'll see this when we log in, once you have a chance to view that resume, if it looks like somebody that you have an interest in and they answered the screening questions well, then you can simply click a link to send an email to that applicant, and you can add additional text if you want to it. But it'll send an email to the applicant requesting that they complete the rest of the application. So at that point, they'll have to put in everything else that's required in your application: street address, zip code, phone number. They'll have to put in responses to any of your additional questions that you have in your application, such as criminal history or anything like that. They'll answer all of at least those required questions, and if you want to emphasize that you also at this point want them to include their references, even though they're not required, then you could emphasize that you really want that information. So then you actually will have a complete application for those people that you push back and ask them to complete the rest of it.
So it gives me a snapshot of that person.
It does, yeah. Just the resume. It's kind of like if you were to get stuff by email almost. It's kind of the same information, I'm
going to think about it, and then I'll email you if I want you to turn it on.
Yeah, that's something we can turn on at any point. So if you take off with this and you're getting plenty of applicants and it's not a big deal, then fine. Otherwise, if you want it later on, we can turn it on.
And it's called Easy App? Is that what it's called?
Technically, I think it's called Click to Apply, and there's also the Indeed mobile applications. So they can do something very similar from a cell phone. They can just give you the minimum of information. Yeah.
I got to see, what I want to see, Richard, is what I have without that turned on.
Yeah,
and
sure. And that's what we're looking at now.
I think it could be too overwhelming.
Yeah, it could well be. I've had, well, let's see, probably close to 24 clients that have turned that on so far, because not all of them have I even mentioned it to yet because it's relatively new.
Okay.
But only one of them asked me to turn it off so far. But the only ones that turned it on are the ones that really did want more applications, and the ones realized that they didn't need that many.
Right. No, and so I'm not 100% sure because I have not opened up all my recruiting avenues yet. Mm-hmm. So this is just the one that has to work for me, where I don't really have to do anything but go look and say yes, no, yes, no.
Yeah, okay. Exactly. All right. So I double-checked on this because when the support group set this up, they didn't have some of these questions required that we often see required, but they weren't required on your iApplicants application. If you want them required now, let me know. And any of these you want required, we can go ahead and require in this system.
Yeah, those are all fine, looks like.
Okay. So none of these need to be required?
Fine.
Yeah. You'll see an asterisk if they are required. And so I'll actually go ahead and answer them if they're required, but none of these are.
Are you asking, do I want those on there?
I'm asking if you want them to be required of your applicants.
Yeah. Those are questions that we ask.
Well, I know you ask them, but you're currently not requiring that applicants complete these questions.
Let me just think.
Or if you want to get back with me on those two, we could always do that later. Just
Oh, I don't know. We've ever listen. One question that we've had a problem with that we think makes us legally liable is the criminal questions. And so,
yeah, in some states it would.
And none of these questions look like they fit in the category.
No. Yeah, the only question is if you're getting under-reporting of responses. So if you really need to know if someone's been employed here before, then we should require it. If it's not a big deal, then maybe you don't even need it on your application.
Well, I think I would like to know desired salary range. Best time to contact, not significant. They typically do it. They do answer these questions, though.
Oh, well, in that case, maybe we leave it the way it is.
Without it being required, those questions are being answered on our applications.
Well, then why don't we not try to fix something that's not? I would just change any of them that you're having an issue with.
No, let me just see the rest of them.
Okay.
And you're right. Yeah,
Okay.
they're answering questions.
And actually, you don't have the question about criminal history on here.
Yeah, because we took it off.
Oh, okay.
Telling you, that happened within the last 60 days.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right. Everything look good then?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. All right. So then here's where we do have the race and gender sections. You don't actually, if you're not a federal contractor, you don't have to ask these questions up front. You could always ask these as part of onboarding instead. So it's kind of your option.
I don't believe we care about any of that stuff.
You may take it off then?
Yeah. Regina, I don't see any reason to have that on there.
Right. We don't get federal contracts, no. I don't see any reason to have it on there.
Okay, I'll turn it off. I would actually say the same thing then on, just show you the last of that. Okay.
Yeah, we don't care about that either.
Oh, it actually does require, if it's in here, it requires that I do at least that.
Okay.
Okay. Source is required.
That's good. We want to know what they did.
Yeah, and if they choose other, then they have to fill in the second field.
Okay.
Okay, so here's another section that's not actually required up front. So unless you're doing credit check before getting a release of information from your applicants, yes, then all of this text could be removed to shorten up your application.
Yeah, we get it after we get the release from them, after they sign a form, sign the release.
Yeah, and the release always includes all of this information.
Right, yes.
So we could take every bit of this out and simply leave that down there.
Good.
You may do that?
I think so.
It's fine by me, but this is an HR decision, and I think probably.
I'll double check with Patty, Joe, but I think.
Yeah, the only clients that I have that include this are one or two who actually do a credit check before getting a release.
Yeah, we don't.
Yeah,
okay. We don't do any check until we get the release.
Okay, fair enough. And then the rest of this is actually, oh, it just reminds me though, on your application you had a question about driver's license and,
yes,
and state. We did not, or they didn't pick it up here. They were thinking that that would be a job-specific question. Do you want that added back to the base application? I'll go show you what it is. Because actually most of your jobs are likely to need it, aren't they?
They need a driver's license, yes.
But again, if you're not doing, I would ask about whether they have the license. I wouldn't necessarily ask for the driver's license number at this point. So if for me, I would ask, do you have a valid driver's license, and if so, in what state or something like that?
Gina?
Yeah, I don't think we need to have it. Then she's not going to run the driver's license check until she gets the driver's license, and we're going through the disclosure and everything. So, yeah, we'd want to know that they have a driver's license, but I don't think it has to be on there with the number.
Now, if they don't have a valid driver's license, that's going to be a disqualifier, right?
Right.
Yes.
You'd want to know that they have it, but we wouldn't need their information.
Yeah, so I would recommend having that as one of your screening questions.
Okay.
So we'll look at that in just a second.
Okay.
All right. So then we do actually require an electronic signature. And now, these sections that I breezed through earlier, I guess. Oh, that's weird. Oh, because I just hit enter, I didn't actually poke the button. Now we're talking. Okay, so from here, I can submit the application, and I'll get a message on screen, and I'll also get an email thanking me for applying. Okay, so your applicant then can click on My Accounts. They can print out their application. If they had not completed the application, then underneath Take Action it would say Continue, and they could continue this application. Or they can go check out your other job listings and apply for a second job. And finally, they can update their own contact information.
I see.
All right. So let me go ahead and log in then. Okay, so Joe, I'm going to log in as you, so you're going to have confidence that anything I'm doing is stuff that you can do, because the system thinks I am you. All right, so a really nice thing about this system is that it's got real-time analytics. All right, so these numbers are because of, and that was Bubba Sample who applied. So Bubba viewed the application on this site, started the application, completed it, and you didn't have any disqualifiers that tripped him up, so he met your basic qualifications. Otherwise, that would be a 0. And then, so in the future, those people that hit your disqualifiers, that it's going to make this a smaller number than your number of completed applications. So I'll show you how much work the system's doing for you. And this application does not yet have a status. So you're looking as an administrator at all of your job listings. Okay, so here they all are, and you can see how much of a workload there is out there, applications that haven't been looked at that need, that if you're using status as the indicator of, as I think you should, which applications have been addressed, which ones haven't. So you got one application that needs to be looked at. Now you can set up, and should probably, or in my opinion, as long as you've got, well, let me just ask the question actually. Are you having, I think you are, right? Hiring managers look at applications and update the statuses?
Well, right now it's just me that looks at it, and the process we have in place now is if somebody fills out an application on iApplicants and it gets emailed to me, I do a visual screen on the data and then forward it to them, and then some people have me call the guys, or some people handle it themselves.
Okay. So that brings up an important difference between this system and iApplicants that I need to go over. So first thing is that well, there's been really a sea change, and I may have already mentioned this to you, Joe, but there's been a big change in data confidentiality concerns, even before Hillary Clinton, and it concerns what is or what you're able to see in emails. And so this system, when you get a notification of an application being completed, it does not include the application in the body of the email. And if you forward an application to a hiring manager, same deal there. It's not going to be in the body of the application. They're going to have a link, and then they can log in. So you're going to know two things. You're going to know who it is that looked at an application and when, so that if any status was changed or anything else, there won't be any mystery about who did that. But you're also going to know that that application, unless someone goes to the trouble of printing it to a PDF and emailing it, or or printing it out and handing it to someone else, you're going to know that that information wasn't routed around the people that you're not aware of.
Okay.
So for your applicants who may have put in salary information, for instance, they don't have worries that that information is being shared with other people who shouldn't be looking at it. So the recommendation would be then that you set up anyone that you anticipate sharing applications with. I'll show you how we do this in a little bit underneath the gears icon. Okay, so here we'll go into users. So I'd recommend setting them up with their own login so that if you've got a manager in Kansas City, then they would see, when they look at the screen, only jobs that are in Kansas City. And if you need them to see multiple cities, so if you want someone to see both St. Louis and Springfield and Columbia, for that matter, all of Missouri, then they could see whatever business units, if you will, that, and actually we don't have them broken out, but you can set up your business units for each of your locations so that managers only look at what you want them looking at. And it's better for them too. They don't see a bunch of clutter. All right, so the quick overview of this screen is that when you land here, unless you prefer that you land a different place, we have you land on the applicants page, more likely where you're going to be spending most time.
Okay.
Then we'll go in and we'll look at the jobs page in a little bit. We'll touch on the reports, as I mentioned. You do have, similar to what we looked at with the applicants, you've got an FAQ, and also you've got a chat window, so if you've got any questions. Your managers, when they log in, won't see the reports icon here.
Okay.
The only reports they have options to see are a couple of them underneath the jobs that they have access to.
Right.
You do have a search capability that extends not just to the application, but also to the attached resumes. So you can do keyword search, and if you're looking for someone that has cathodic protection experience, then if you put in cathodic and protection as keywords and you do a search on that, it's going to find any instances of applications that have both of those words in their either application or resume. They could have cathodic in their application and protection in their resume, but as long as they got both words, then they're good. Unless, of course, you use wildcard characters to constrain it. So if you put quotes around cathodic protection, then those words have to be just that way. All right.
Okay.
It's going to exclude anyone that does not meet that criteria. So if someone has cathodic but they don't have protection in their application and resume, then they're not going to be picked up in your search. Okay, but you can use wildcard characters and search on these criteria. So it's a nice search capability. Ever so briefly, we do have a favorites or a bookmark page where you can bookmark even links if you want that are outside of the system. So if you want to be able to go to some other an HRIS or something, for instance, you can bookmark it and go straight there.
Okay.
This is just search again. This is the spotlight, so that if when I'll come back to that, but you can spotlight an application, because if you see a bunch of them, or if a manager has a bunch of applications for a job and you see one or two that you think he ought to focus on, you can spotlight them for him. So not only will he or she get an email with those spotlighted applications, they'll also see a little red number up here that'll show how many have been spotlighted that you think they ought to look at. Now you can calendar events, and if you want to have that integrated so that it pushes onto your Outlook calendar, if that's what you're using, then you can do that. For someone who's using Google, same thing. And then we'll touch on this a little bit more in a little bit. All right, so here's our first visitor who's viewed a job listing and applied, so let's go in and take a look. So if this was a group of applicants, we could select all of them at once. We could also go in and look at responses to screening questions. So if in particular we're wanting to know about, so here we've got reliable transportation, but we could ask one additional question about having a valid license. So let's say that we need to look at those.
Right.
Then I can go in here. I could also look at those people who were disqualified by the system if I wanted. I could look at a broader date range. I could look at the applications that I've already archived. But in this case, I'm just going to refresh here. Okay, so here are the responses. So I could use these to inform my choice of status that I choose. I could archive the applicant here, I could select one or more of the applications, and I can update all of them at once. I could change their status. I could send all of them an email directly from here, or I could archive or unarchive all of them from here.
Okay.
Here's that score that I was talking about, so you'll be able to see right here on this screen your applicants, how they did on if you've got the mechanical test, or also just if you've got anything from the screening questions. Okay, so let's take a look at the app. So here's Bubba. If there were additional applications for the same job listing, I would see the other names. I would also see their scores up here. If notes had already been made on an application, then I'm going to see a notes icon that I can hover over, and I can actually see any notes that have already been input on any of these applications. I would have seen the same thing on the prior screen. I would have seen a letter N. If it was an internal applicant, I would see a letter I. If it was manually added, I would see a MA. So I can go in. I can update their status, but explain why it is that I'm giving them this status. If you don't want your hiring managers to see whatever note you put in, you can click on this, and it will keep it for just administrators. Okay, so now I've got a status, and I've actually got a note. There's a little bit of a lag, so it's not showing up immediately here, but you'll actually be able to see the note. Okay. And if additional applications, oh, they didn't change that. I'm going to change the view to, we've got an updated view that you'll be able to see. In this case, you can see, you'd have to click over here to see if there were any additional applications, but the other view makes it a little more obvious because it shows you the titles of any other jobs they've applied to right up top. So that I don't want to take a chance that someone says, oh, this person looks great, and not realize that they are already being interviewed for some other job. So that reduce intra-company competition, I guess, for applicants. Okay, and then importantly, any additional things you're wanting to do, you can click on this Actions button. So if we did go with that Easy Apply, then the very top link would be set application to incomplete. So it would actually take it out of this system and send an email to the applicant to ask them to complete it. If you think this person would be a good fit for a different job, you can copy them to another job. So kind of similar, most of these, to actually things you can do other than events in iApplicants. So if you want to print it, then you can choose the sections you want to print. Here's how you can spotlight it. So actually, let's do that, except I don't have anyone else to spotlight it. So if we'd already set up Regina, then we could spotlight it for Regina. We would choose her email, put in a note, say, hey, you ought to look at this one, and we could spotlight it. And then finally, if you do have an interest in having an integrated background check process, then we can set that up for you. So you would actually have a couple of packages if you need them. You can see a short demo of it actually here. Okay. And it's an all-electronic process for you then at that point. So the system would kick off an email to your applicant. Hopefully at that point they've been given notice that they're going to be receiving a release for the background check. So that's what it would be. They would do the release online with electronic signature, so you don't have to wait on getting the signature from them. And then you'll be able to see updates as the process proceeds, and then you can get an update when it's completed, so you can click through and actually see the background check. So if that's of interest, great. If you love the process you have already and that's not a net benefit, then that's fine too.
Okay, well listen, Virginia, I want you to post this call, talk to Patty about what you got if you want to use that option.
I like the idea that it's electronic. It's something that you can email, Richard, if I'm understanding right, once they've completed an application, then you can go back and email them and ask them for a background check. It's not going to be part of the application, right?
Right.
Okay, yeah. I'll ask Patty about that.
All right. So
What
let's go ahead.
kind of cost, additional cost is there for that?
It's going to be competitive with what you have currently. In almost all cases, it's going to be either at or a little bit better than what you currently have, and then just a bit more efficient for you.
Yeah.
So if that is of interest, what I can do is I can set up a demo for you to have a 20 to 30 minute walkthrough with Sarah Fry, who's our person who does background checks. And so she can talk you through the system and get information from you to enable her to provide you a quote.
That would be a good idea.
Okay. So yeah, whenever you're ready, let me know. Or if you want me to go ahead and schedule that, I can pull up her calendar and we can do that now.
Okay. I want to see Patty wants to be involved, and I'll send you an email.
Okay. Sounds great. Yeah, or if you just want to even give me a call, then we can just, I can pull up her calendar and we can find a time that works.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go look at jobs then. So that's the second link here. So when we land on jobs, we're actually viewing your job listings. So you can see the starting and ending dates. You can see, well, right now we don't have any business units because you didn't have business units set up in iApplicants. But you can see what business unit, if any, you've got them associated with. You also have internal IDs, which you're kind of using like business units, actually. So if you want to add a new job listing, then you can just click on the plus sign. And let me point out first, so all of these job listings have job templates that they're based upon. Okay? So these came from your iApplicant site, and for any that you don't already have set up, if there are any, you can set up additional job templates. In fact, let me just go ahead and take a look. So you got lots of cathodic protection technician jobs, but there's only a need for one template because they're all the same, right? So
well, two different kinds of cathodic protection, but it depends on which one you copied. I don't know. There's two different. There's two different flavors.
Oh, okay. Well, we're going to want to make sure then that they did that correctly. So, so you could add then your second, and actually, kind of column real quick. Yeah. So you can make sure that you've got a clean starting point for whatever type of job listing you have, and then anytime you go in to add a new job listing, then you'll be able to draw on this clean starting point. So you're not going to have to try to remember which of those listings that I want to copy from that I had before, because you know you're starting from a clean starting point. Same or similar deal on job questions. So we actually have kind of a matched up set here, but you can tie your job questions to a job template, so you can set those up. In fact, while I'm here, let me go ahead and take a look at it. So these are the questions that we have, and we've got drop-downs as the answer type. You've got other options you could set up, option buttons or text fields or whatever you need. And this is where you could set this as a disqualifier, and if you wanted to say that, yeah, this is really important and I want to give 5 points for any correct answer there, or if this was your test, I want to make that a 10-point response, then the system can do the scoring for you.
Okay.
All right. So I won't do it now, but if you want to come back and look at each of these, and any of them that truly are a disqualifier, then I would make them a disqualifier.
Gotcha.
Okay, so back to the job listings. So if we're going in to add a new job listing, then just click on your plus sign, choose your correct template. Okay. So let's say it is that one. It'll fill in the information. Then you can put in an internal ID or modify this job listing if you need, then fill in the last of your information down here. So our job template, if it's been set up ideally, is actually going to have, let me go over here, because this one's not actually quite ideal. Well, it's close, but there's a little bit of additional information. You know, it's not going to be critical that you have the correct EO category at this point, but you may as well.
Right.
So go ahead and have that. Have it tied to the correct job questions group. This template is probably going to be good. Well, once you have your department set up, you would want to select all of them that you may want to have it available for.
Okay.
And I would also highly recommend going ahead and putting your keywords right here so that anytime you add a job listing, they come built in with good keywords.
All right.
So I would want that, and I would want technology. And maybe UST.
All right.
So then, yeah, save that. So that anytime you add a new job listing, all that information is available. Now, if you've got other job titles within the iApplicant system that you want to have available as templates for when you're adding new job listings, then they're available here. So I can click on that plus sign over on my templates. And so I know I've got cathodic protection and field service technician, but maybe I didn't have office assistant and I need it. Actually, looks like we may have gotten everything. So maybe there's one or two that you still need. So you could set up a template for this one as well.
I see.
And copy in the information that easily.
So the database from my previous site is there.
Yeah, at least for a while. We're not going to delete your site for a bit. Now, when you look down in here, if everything's not here, then just click on the button and it'll copy it in.
Okay.
All right. But yeah, it looks like actually you're in pretty good shape. You're just going to want to make sure that we have the correct flavor of cathodic protection. And that's the limit of my understanding about cathodic protection. It's a pretty cool deal, but I didn't know there was two types, so there you go.
There's the hard workers and the not hard workers.
Oh, really?
It's construction guys and construction guys.
Oh, okay, okay.
Do surveys, some guys do repairs and installs.
Oh, I get it.
So
all
different backgrounds. Same job. Same
oh, okay, fair enough. Okay, so that's pretty much it for the job listings. Let me go ahead and while I'm here, cover
Let me ask two questions real quick. So take I see the down arrow.
Oh, that's
right.
to archive it.
Okay, go to the next one. To the right.
I'm sorry. I'll show you this in just a sec. This is how you can push out your job listing to other sites. And this is where you can see where it's been pushed to.
Okay.
And this is where, from this screen, you can add applications to this job listing.
Okay. So what is the push? Say it again. What is the push?
Yeah, let me just go ahead and show you. All right, so let's say that I added a job listing and then I clicked on Add and Push to Job Boards. It's going to take me to the same place as if I click on this bullhorn.
Okay.
And so now, instead of looking at the information that's going to be on your applicant pool site, this is the information that's going to be actually out on the job boards such as Indeed. And you might recall that when you first go out to Indeed, all you see is about this much information.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to catch someone's attention for this job listing, then, and if you don't feel like this is the kind of text that you would want up front to grab someone's attention, then you could consider, just for Indeed and the other sites, maybe inserting some text above this that will describe a little bit, or saying, hey, looking for a highly energetic technicians with cathodic protection background, something like that. To work for a great company. So, you know, whatever you think would grab their attention, you can put it in there.
Okay.
Right? So then you do definitely want to make sure you've got keywords.
Okay.
Because that helps people find the right job listing in Indeed. And then when you've got all that, you can click on Save. If you're pushing out to any paid sites such as Career Builder or Monster, then they will have some required fields here.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you're just going out to the free sites, then from Applicant Pool, you're going to have your jobs picked up 4 times a day for Indeed. So almost always, your job listing is going to go live the same day. And it's going to go out automatically there. But you can add the rest of these jobs, or job sites, that easily, and then save. I wouldn't bother pulling out any of them. because if someone's going to be moving to your area or they just happen to be on that other site, why exclude it? Might be easier just to add them all and save it.
Okay.
Now, if you had set up some other favorites, that's where I almost went to a little bit ago, then you could have other sites available. And should you ever, for instance, get an affirmative action plan, then you're going to want to have your state workforce sites, for instance, and maybe veteran sites and disability sites and others. Yeah. So you can still set up some, but they would be a la carte using your credit card to push out to those sites if we add any favorites here.
Okay.
All right. Then we got the social and manual. So I'll send you instructions following this call that show you how you can, or at least when you go live with your site, showing you how you can have your jobs go automatically to a corporate Facebook jobs page or to a corporate Twitter feed. As recruiters, you can push out to your LinkedIn network, so you can click on that link, and you can just click on share, or you can put in some text saying that you could use a little help finding good applicants for this job.
Okay. You
can email directly to people, or you can push out the Craigslist, and as we discussed before, they don't take a feed, and they don't allow others to post on your behalf, so this just opens up side-by-side windows so you can do that yourself.
Okay.
All right. So if you did want to set up some job board favorites, then you can click on this last tab underneath jobs, click on your plus sign, and so let's say that you do on rare occasion want to go out to Monster. If you don't go out there often enough to warrant purchasing your own credits, so this is a discount off of their individual price, so it's a better deal for you unless you're going to be doing or purchasing 10 or more probably at a time.
Okay.
Or they may have the rare special that they put out there to try to grab people. So if you want to buy your own, you can, but if you want the posting group to post for you, then they'll actually do it at a bit of a discount. You could add any of these you want.
Okay.
All right. So we're getting close to our time. I've got just a touch more to cover. Could probably use an extra 5 or so minutes. Do you all have that time, or do you need to drop off the call at 11 Central?
I'm okay. I'm okay.
I'm fine.
Okay. So let me touch briefly on reports. So you've got a lot of reports in here. So you got standard reports such as your sources, time to fill. Should you need any of these others, you've got them. There's a bunch there. You've got some dashboards that'll have some good information that compares the starts to views, etc., as well as where people are in the pipeline, how many jobs you've got, and what's going on with those. So a bunch of them. You can create your own reports should you need to. So you can play around with this if you want. I'm not going to go too much more into detail, but if you do have something that you're wondering about how you can report, then you can always give me a shout.
Yeah, Richard, I'll spend some time here playing with it and seeing what kind of reports I can pull out. I can tell you that the one report I'm required to send out monthly is current postings. So monthly I have to tell them what the current postings are. So can you show me that report? Okay.
So under standard reports, there's a job overview report. So that may be one that would work for you then. So let's see. There we go. So
okay.
For that, you actually may just want to choose a short date range, so just current day's date.
Yeah, just show me it.
And here they are.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, and this actually will go a little bit further because it'll show you how many people have started and completed this. But if you were to drop this into a spreadsheet, then you can.
Yeah, no, that's great. No,
delete any fields you don't want.
I can pull and I can remove what I don't want to be in that report in there. That's perfect.
Okay. Good. All right. So let me cover then some of the settings, and then we'll go and set up Regina. So underneath settings, the first two tabs you're probably not going to need to do anything with. This first one is if you want to add any additional pages to your site. The second one should you want to classify your job listings in some internal or for some internal purpose, you could use this. Otherwise, generally, our clients are not using this field. We have some that use it for some all kinds of different ways. Or if you need some additional type of employment type. Beyond these, you could always add those. Most likely, you're not going to need to edit those. This is the business units that we were talking about. So right now, we've got these available, and if these work for you, great. But if you're wanting to restrict logins so that a given manager only sees the job listings for their area, then you could have, let's say it's Boston, Massachusetts, that you want to separate out the technicians from the administrative staff there. So, just making this up, of course. So you could actually have two different business units. You could have Boston Techs, Boston Admin. So you could have one hiring manager who only sees the applicants for Boston technicians and the other one that sees them for Boston Admin. And maybe the Boston technician one can see that one, plus he can also see Austin, Texas, and Houston. Okay. So when you're setting up the logins, as I'll show you in a little bit, you can set them up so that they can have just the level of access you want them to have. But it's driven from the business units as far as geographically or functionally what they're able to see. Okay, so here are the sources that we saw on that list earlier. So if you want to add additional ones, you can, or if you want to edit any of these, you can. We have some additional ones that are archived. So these are all of those, should you ever want to pull any of those back. But it's not likely you're going to get significant applicants from these, so that's why we archived them. Okay. This is all you have currently for applicant statuses. So if you want to add additional ones, you can, or if you want to look at the archived ones, here's what we have archived. So you could pull any of these back to active if these would be useful for you. Since you don't have affirmative action requirements, you don't necessarily need a lot more than those few, so that's fine. But here's something I would recommend. In fact, I'll go ahead and do it for you if you want. And that is all those applicants who hit a disqualifier, I would have them automatically dispositioned. Okay. So if you want it to read not qualified, then that works fine. You can change this. If you had an affirmative action plan, I would tell you this probably ought to read does not meet minimum qualifications, but not qualified works in your case. Okay. Okay, so now anytime someone hits or responds with a disqualifying response, they're going to be dispositioned as not qualified. Okay, and finally we got your email templates. So these were pulled over from iApplicants. The thank you email is probably similar to what you had before. We've got these autofills now, so that if you wanted to even include the job title in the note that you send to applicants, you could say, thank you for applying for the cathodic protection job in wherever. So you can have these fill in information in your emails. Okay. And finally, let's go to users. All right. So we've got different flavors of users. So you guys are administrators. You're going to be able to see everything. You can also set up managers so that you'd have the same base information, a username, password, etc. But you would actually choose if you want them to be able to post jobs or to not be able to post jobs, or to be a look but don't touch, just viewing manager that can't update statuses, can't update or can't post jobs or anything, can't even put in notes. You actually have one additional type of user, but let me show you this first. And then this is where you could choose, the Boston, Houston business and give them just the business units you want to have access to. Okay? And you'd hit add. The additional type is if you're doing screening for any managers and you only want them to see applications that you have assigned to them. So if you have 20 people that apply for a job, but you only assign a couple, you can assign from any job you want. That's what these are. So because your assigned users are only seeing, oh wait, what did I do there? Oh, I went back. I wanted to hit this. Okay, because your assigned users are only seeing applications that you assign to them, they don't need to have a business unit. Instead of being assigned to a business unit, they're being assigned to applications. Okay, so this would turn on one additional drop-down over there when you're looking at your applicants, so you can choose who you want to assign an application to. All right. Actually, there is one additional one, that's contacts. So if you've got someone who maybe on just a one-off basis you need to email them an application, it's just name and email address you put in there. Or even if you wanted to have multiple people get notified when someone applies for a job, you could set up a contact with those multiple email addresses in it, so that so you can have multiple people be notified. All right. So to set up Regina, so I can make it is that correct?
Perfect. That's perfect.
All right. And you want your password to be the same, or I can make it Arvano too?
You can make it August.
August?
Yes.
Okay. That was a phonetic spelling for a moment there, wasn't it? Yeah.
All right. It's Tanknology.com.
An incorrect phonetic is what that was. All right, so I would always recommend doing the View Applicants page. For administrators, all you're doing is assigning a domain. You've only got the one domain, so. And that's all you need. So I wouldn't worry about the non-required fields. And you're now in the book.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so did you have any questions that you've saved up?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So my current process is get an email from my applicants, and then I look at it and forward it off to the appropriate person after I've done a visual screen. And then in some cases they'll send it back to me to actually do a phone screen on the guy. And in some cases I don't hear from them at all again. So at a minimum, what you're telling me is that I'm going to still receive an email. Is that correct?
If you want, you'll receive an email, but it's not actually going to have the application in the body of that email.
Right.
It'll have a link, so you can click on it and log in and view the application, which is the only way the system's going to know who's actually viewing which applications.
Okay,
so
does that link take me to this website?
Yeah, it'll actually take you directly to the application once you put in your username and password.
And then if I forward that email to someone and they press the link, it's going to take them to that website as well, too.
That is correct. Now, so let me ask you a question. For your hiring managers, are you wanting to always screen those applications to where they're only looking at the ones that you think they ought to look at, or do you want them to have the ability to look at all applications, or is it some combination? Are some managers you're going to want them to look at all and others not so much?
Only ones I want them to see. In other words, when I do my visual, I will eliminate a fair amount because I already know they're not a good fit. And this is one of the problems is the hiring managers are not looking at it with the right eyeballs.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I need a guy right now. And
yeah.
So what I've been charged with is let's not hire these guys that aren't really a good fit for us, and I have a good ability to determine that just by paper.
Even if they can fog a mirror, huh?
Well, we've talked about reaching in a bucket and throwing it up against the wall, but I'd got to tell you, you still only get about 30%.
Yeah.
So that's good enough.
Okay.
So yeah.
Do you have a manager that you would that pops to mind for one of your job listings, current listing that you would want to add in here?
Gosh, I haven't decided. Let me just think about this a second.
I mean, is there one that you've emailed already this week?
Oh, yeah, no. We'll go Eddie Campbell.
Eddie Campbell? So E Campbell?
E-C-A-M-B-E-L-L at Tanknology.
Okay. So let's see if we get away with that. If there's already a E Campbell in the system, then you might have to put a number after it or something like that. The username has to be unique across all of ApplicantPool. So it'll tell you in red letters here, it'll say that username has already been used.
Are you asking about an applicant name or a manager name?
A manager name.
Yeah, it's E. Campbell.
Okay. So and I just wanted to clarify that if you ever see that a username is not working, that's the reason why. It's because there's an E. Campbell at some other company already.
Oh, I see. I understand.
Okay. All right. So he is in, and we're not, I would imagine, we do want him to see notes, but we don't want him to...
Richard.
Yeah.
It's W. Campbell.
I'm sorry?
His username is going to be W. Campbell. It's not E.
Oh, okay.
I know. I just looked at it to make sure. But he is Eddie Campbell. But his email is wcampbell@tanknology.com. It's Eddie Campbell.
All right. Yeah, and I'm just doing this because it makes it easy for them. Tell them, just like your email address, first part of it.
Right.
Okay. So I would recommend leaving these the way they are, because I think it's important for them to see notes and to see if someone's actually applied for more than one job. And up to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, make notes is fine.
Okay. So that's all the information you need. Just this much, and then click on Add. All right?
Okay.
So now, if you were to go back to your applicants, and let's go look at Bubba again.
That's his area, so this is the guy that he can look at.
Yeah, so if you actually wanted him to see this applicant, you could just check it here. And so you could check multiple. So if there's a number of them, you've reviewed a bunch of them, and then you want to send all of these at once, then you could click on Assign To. And when you click on this, an email is going to go to Eddie. Boom. And that's all it takes. If I was looking at the application, oh, I've still got it open over here.
So then he would be able to open that link up, and it would allow him to make notes if he wanted to.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
But he would only see applicants that I sent. He wouldn't be able to see all the people that applied for that job.
He would only see, actually I think he's just going to see the one, yeah, he's just going to see that one application. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And if you're looking at the application and you want to assign them, then you click on Actions over here and Assign to Assign User.
Okay.
So actually if I click on that, then it brings up that same drop-down list. So if I click on his name and I hit Assign, then the email goes out and it's done.
Okay. I guess what I want to do, Richard, is I'm going to do a little beta trial with this one guy.
Okay.
So I'm going to give him the information and then see how it goes with him, and then then I will. You're going to keep the other software going until I'm ready to turn over.
Okay.
But we want a few days with him.
All right, that's fine.
Is that all right?
Yeah. And this is what I was talking about earlier. So this, you're going to be able to see the notes and just hover over it just like that. You don't actually have to open it up to see the notes.
Because this guy is one of the guys that says he's tired of keeping his own spreadsheet. He wants a database where he can just go to it, put his notes in, and be done with it. And you don't have to worry about updating a spreadsheet for somebody.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
So it's a good guy. He's already motivated for this kind of thing. Could you go back to his account, please, his profile? I just edited things.
Yeah. So, actually I did it from here, didn't I? Let me point out one thing real fast.
Go ahead.
And, so if there's going to be a bit of a delay between going live with iApplicants, and right now we just trued up all your job listings. So if between now and when you go live you make any edits, or do you anticipate making any edits to the jobs you have active?
No.
Okay. If you do, then those changes will need to be made not just in iApplicants but also in ApplicantPool, so that when you go live in ApplicantPool, you've got everything you need.
So I've got 2 websites running, is what you're telling me. That's fine.
Yeah. But of course, you're going to want to go in and take a look at your job listings to make sure we have the correct titles or the correct descriptions.
No, I'm going to glean through all of them.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll look at all the templates and make sure, and all the job listings, everything makes sense.
All right. So back to the users then.
Yeah.
And under assign users, so here's Eddie.
Let me see. And
oh, I messed that up, didn't I? That should be W.
Yeah, that, and then he's also Eastern time.
Oh, okay.
He's in,
I can set that as the default if you want. Eastern?
Yeah, you shouldn't. They're all over the place.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so let me just look. Yeah, okay, this looks good. Yeah, he's also in Georgia State.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and again, that doesn't matter so much, but
I don't think it does, but I wanted all to say what it is.
Yeah.
To be clear.
Fair point.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to brief this guy on this and show it to him, and then I'm going to run it just a few days. I suspect I'll be ready to go live Monday.
Okay.
That'll be enough time for me to go through everything, and so that really is. I think what I need to do at this point, Richard, is just try to use this website. I mean, will applications already start coming to this website, or where will they go to the old one?
They'll still be going to the old one until I flip the switch. Okay.
The other thing is I have not cleared with my company putting this link to this website on our careers page as the only way to apply for a job other than faxing. I have talked to the HR folks. I have mentioned this to Regina. So I think that's what we really want to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, Regina?
Yeah, I agree.
Well, go to careers and
yeah, and everything's underneath home or about us, wasn't it?
What did you say?
I was thinking we had one other link on there.
Okay.
Maybe not. May just be under careers.
Right. Yeah. So what we want to do is we still want them to be able to print an application and send that in. We agreed that that's okay.
Oh, okay.
But the other thing is we want, where it says send email, we want that to say, or click on the link, and it takes them to the iApplicantPool. So everything is filtered through there.
Okay.
I know what you're saying. If a guy wants to print it and fax it, okay. It does happen, by the way.
Sure.
And then we understand that person might be intimidated by computers, so it will be interesting to see what they say for computer skill when I ask that question.
Yeah.
So we don't want to eliminate those people who say they don't have a computer.
Yeah, I would just keep an eye on it, and at some point, my expectation is that you're going to reach the point where you feel like it's just not worth it anymore. We get so few by email or fax, and we don't need them. We get plenty via the website. Let's just go ahead and cut off that option, because almost all of our clients, I've got very few exceptions of people who still take applications by fax or email.
So you're going to have that discussion with Patty?
Yeah.
And you, I, and Patty are going to, I'll send an email to Alan Anderson and Alan Porter and say, look, we want to change this to the link in conjunction with the new website, blah, 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 blah. But that's really the challenge for me, Richard, is getting those guys just to say yes.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
I mean, is anybody else I need to talk to about this, Regina?
Not that I can think of, no.
You know, I think Alan Anderson has the person who owns this website working for him. And so I got to just get Alan Porter to say, yeah, okay, that's a good idea. And, of course, he's in Japan and China, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh.
All right?
Yeah.
I don't have any other questions, Richard.
Okay. Good. Anything else, Regina?
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm excited about this. It's really good.
Yeah, good. I think it's going to work well for you.
Gina, I'm gonna play with this today and tonight, and then I'll give you a call tomorrow. Give you a chance to talk to Patty about it. Make sure you show it to her too, okay?
I will.
And see what you guys think.
Absolutely.
All right?
I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Thanks. Thanks, Richard.
All right, great. Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye, Joe.
Bye-bye.